All right, welcome everyone to the Monday Message. I'm really happy to be filling in for Stephen today. He's on the road doing a lot of traveling, various hotspots and the like this week, so I'm going to fill in for him. Let's begin by going over this week's numbers. Let's go ahead and show the first slide. Weekly submitted numbers. Impressive, impressive. Let's start at the far right. Nikki with $1,113,000 or $1,113. Jamile, $1,261. Sorry if I mispronounced your name there. Ray, $1,265. Mallory, go Mallory, $1,555. Nick, $1,872. Adam, $1,897. Javon, $1,944. Sean, $2,037. Matt, $2,121. Tom, $2,182. Melissa, $2,359. Janet, $2,601. Sarai, $2,692. And then we have Matthew. Matt, $2,825. Jude, $2,838. Dan, $2,996. Eric, $3,095. Randall, $3,353. Sabrina Floyd, there you go, Sabrina. 10 apps, $3,376. Cleo, $4,187. Capina, $4,786. Jeff, $5,038. David, $5,334. Melissa, $5,752. Jeremico, $5,766. And at the top of the list with 8 apps is Melissa, $6,920. Impressive, guys. Really good job last week. Excellent. Here are the top 5 weekly submits. We've got Andre with 7,719. Myself with 7,899. Mike, 8,512. Mercedes, 9,011. And Stephen Davies himself, $10,014.82 with 8 applications. Let's go to our next slide. Top 5 weekly paychecks. Mimi Romero, 8,972. Carlos, 10,361. Nick, 12,118. Mike, 12,259. And then Adrian with $18,637. Way to go, Adrian. That is impressive. Top 5 weekly paychecks. So here we have our top 5 year-to-date producers. Look like Nick Greco has passed me up. Let's start with David, 214,452. Aaron, 217,810. Jeremico Edwards, 260,058. Cindy and I, 277,685. And Nick Greco, $282,001 with 55 applications. Way to go, Nick. Super proud of you, brother. Super proud. That's awesome. Then we have our Freedom Leaderboard. So completed fast tracks, we've got Mercedes with 1, Rogers and Kim with 1, Melissa with 1, Robert Averett, my brother-in-law. Good job, Robert. 1, Adina, 4, Spring, 5, myself with 5, and the Davies Base Shop with 7. Then contracted new agents, Mercedes with 1, and the Davies Base Shop with 3. Then we have year-to-date Alliance recruits. We have the whole alliance, Jason and Olga Mathis, 84. Albright Base Shop with 90 to date. Micah Noel Leventovich with 99. Then Stephen, look at that. Stephen is about ready to pass up Alex Avian with 159. And Alex, who has 161. Then we have Stephen's travel schedule here for the week. Notice these dates. You see why he's not here today. He's traveling. So he's going to be in Atlanta tonight, then Dallas, Texas on the 17th of December. Forgive me, these are for December. December 18th, Atlanta, Georgia, then December 17th, Dallas, the 16th, Salt Lake, the 9th, Oakland, Detroit on the 2nd, Atlanta, November 20th. So that'll be on Wednesday evening this week. I'll be here in Atlanta for you guys who are in the Atlanta area. Dallas on the 19th and Salt Lake City on the 18th. Now, keep in mind, guys, we've got a boot camp coming up. We've got a lot of fantastic speakers, a lot of learning. It's going to be a full day of learning. So be sure to be there on December the 7th at our base shop in Asheville, North Carolina. And tickets are available, so make sure you get those. You don't want to miss this, guys. I mean, every time I go to these events, I find that I've learned more than I came with. I'm also inspired and encouraged. So please don't miss this event. You're going to find it to be well worth your time to attend on December the 7th. So we're going to talk a little bit today about a method that I learned about from Brian Tracy. Who loves it when people say to you, I want to think about it. I want you to call me back after Thanksgiving, after Christmas, at the beginning of the year. I'm not ready to make a decision. How do you feel when people say that to you? It can be frustrating sometimes, right? Because you're thinking, wow, this is going well. We're having a great conversation. I think they're ready to move forward. And then they say that to you. Well, there's a way to still help people make a decision on the first appointment. And how is that? It's actually called the no callback close. And I would love to say that I came up with this, but I didn't. It comes from Brian Tracy. I heard it when he first started listening to audiobooks. I started listening to audiobooks and some selective YouTube videos and the like because when I first joined the business, Stephen encouraged me to read, to study, to listen to things that are encouraging and building, things that are informative and helpful, because serious people take their profession seriously. They learn, they listen, they apply. They realize that there's someone else who knows what they need to know. And so that's why I started reading Brian Tracy's very first book. It's called The Art of Closing the Sale. And what I really appreciated about Mr. Tracy's book was that I could relate to his experience there. He says that as a new salesperson, he was going to all these homes and selling, and everybody was telling him, I want to think about it. I want you to call me back. I'm not sure. And at first he was thinking, wow, oh my goodness, I've got a gold mine here. Everyone's going to call me back all at once. I'm not going to be able to handle all this business I got. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to hire somebody to help me. Do you think that way yourself as a new agent? I know I did. I can relate to what Brian was saying. But what I quickly learned was that I want to think about it is polite customer speak. What are they actually saying? It actually means goodbye. I hope we never meet again. We probably never will. I say I want to think about it, but I'm not going to think about it anymore. That's actually what they're saying to you. And that's what Mr. Tracy learned. No, that's what I've learned. And no doubt you've had the same experience. And so what Mr. Tracy did is he developed the no callback close. I've used it lots of times. I've heard other people use it before. I've heard Stephen use it. Very successful agents. You see at the Alliance, people who use it. And why do they use it? Because it works. And there are two reasons why it works. Number one, it helps people become not indecisive, but decisive. And because this is something that they know they need and they want, and it helps them move forward. And then it helps you as well. So there's two beneficial reasons why it's so helpful, because you can feel it. You're in the zone, right? And you're helping them make a decision. Now, there are two versions to this, though. There's the non-aggressive version, and then there's the aggressive version. So when I first started using the no callback close, I used the less aggressive version, the non-aggressive version. And I'm not even sure aggressive is even the right word for it, but that's what he calls it. This is what the non-aggressive version says. Miss Janet, I totally understand. So you agree first, right? Unfortunately, we have a no callback policy in our office. Now, you and I, we get along well together. This makes complete sense for you. You've said so. I can see that this is something that you really need. This makes complete sense. So you're getting, in this case, Miss Janet, more coverage for the same amount of premium. You're also getting a bunch of cash value that'll be rolled over from your old policy into your new one. You need it, you can afford it. Why don't you just take it? Now, I remember when the first time I used that close, like it was yesterday. Miss Janet she's sitting in her easy chair, and what I did, as the book talks about, I moved a little closer to her. I got on my knees, and because that's what you're supposed to do. And she says to me, well, Adam, if I can't call you back, then I guess I have to take it. And she did. Now, what would most agents have said in that situation? Most would have said, take as much time as you need. But what would have happened? You would have never spoken with them again. They probably would never have answered the telephone or the door again after that conversation. So that's the quote unquote non-aggressive version. Here's a different version that's a little more direct with a similar but has a twist to it. Okay. Miss Janet, I understand that you want to think about it. Unfortunately, we have what is called a no call back policy in our office. And there's a reason why that's in place. We've had people in the past say they're going to think about it, but they never actually get around to thinking about it. They get distracted by other things. 6 months go by, they pass away while they were quote unquote thinking about it. Who do you think your family will blame for not helping you make a decision when they could have or should have? Me. They're going to blame me. And I'm just not going to let that happen again. We get along great. And you're so important to me that I'm not going to let that happen. You need this. You want this. You can afford this. It makes perfect sense. It fills a need. I'm going to help you get qualified. How do you spell your full legal name? And then I just get to work. I just start writing the policy, filling out the information. If you use it right, it's going to work. And what I would really appreciate you to do for me is maybe on Discord, when you've used that method and it works for you, send us a message. Let us know. I think you're going to find it'll be a really big help to you to get less, I want to think about it, comments or messages from people. Now, since the start of the week, let's talk about setting a good goal for the week, okay? Let's imagine that most or many of us here on the meeting today are new agents. Okay, let's imagine you're a new agent. And let's say you set a goal for yourself. You want to make $100,000 in 2025. So I'm going to imagine that I'm that agent. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the math. I'm going to calculate what I need to do in 2025 each week in order to make $100,000. I don't know why people choose 100,000 to start with. I don't know why they don't choose 200 or 400,000. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Everybody just wants to make 100,000. That's kind of the number in their mind. They think if I can do this, then I can succeed in life insurance. So let's say that it's 100,000. Okay, we'll use that as an example. Let's divide that by the annual premium for a final expense policy. And let's be very conservative here. Okay, we don't want to exaggerate. Let's just, let's be conservative, because if we can reach these minimum goals, we'll see how much easier it is to meet these taller or maybe loftier goals. Okay, let's be conservative and say the average premium for a policy is $60 a month or $720 a year. Okay, maybe you have a pen and paper handy. Write this down. Okay, and let's divide that by $100,000. That's $720 by $100,000. How many policies is that? 139 policies. Let's take that 139 policies and divide it by 50 weeks. Let's give ourselves 2 weeks of vacation a year, okay? And we're going to say 50 weeks. That is how many policies? If you do the quick math on your phone, it's 2.78 policies. Let's round it up to the nearest whole number, okay? 3. Who thinks that they can write 3 policies a week? I know you can. People do it all the time, right? People do it, but do you believe you can? Well, how do we get 3 apps a week? Let's talk about how to go about that. What are the mechanics? What does that look like? Well, let's imagine that you have bought some leads. The Alliance has really great leads, direct mail leads. We've got Facebook leads, all kinds of great leads that we can use between the Alliance and Integrity and our base shop. Let's say that you set 10 appointments a week. How many can set 10 appointments in a week? I think you can do that, right? We all can. 10 appointments can be done in an afternoon or a morning. You could do that this afternoon for tomorrow or Tuesday. Okay, so we set 10 appointments. How many people of that 10 will keep their appointment? I'm going to use another conservative number and say 60%. Okay, to be conservative, 60% of people will keep their appointment. So divide 10 by 60%. That brings our sit rate, our actual times we've sat in a chair with a client or at their kitchen table, to 6 appointments per week, 6 sits a week. What is the average closing rate when an agent sits on an appointment? You're sitting with 6 people. How many people will you typically write a policy for or an app for? Let's be conservative again and say that it's 60%. Okay? New agents can close 60%. They do it all the time. That is 3.6 apps a week. So 3 to 4 apps a week. Now, 3 apps to make $100,000 a year. 3 apps a week to make $100,000 a year. I'm telling you, you can do this. You can do this. You can set 10 appointments a week. And with consistent effort, what happens is you find yourself exceeding 3 apps a week. You find yourself writing 6, 8, 10, 12 apps a week. Because one week's activity spills in the next week and so on. Sometimes, I can't wait to go on vacation, but then when I come back from vacation, I'm thinking, oh man, I kind of lost my momentum for that week. I got to make that up again. See, and you look forward to getting back to work to gain the momentum that you had before you left. And you see, all we have to do is just buy the leads, die of the leads. Every week, set 10 appointments, sit with 6, and sell 3. That's the math. Every week, we need to set 10 appointments, sit with 6, and sell 3. And if you want to make more than 100,000, which I would hope you would want to, applying yourself, right, and earning your reaching your full potential, all you have to do is just change the numbers. And that will teach you what it is you need to write or do every week in order to write 100,000, 200,000, whatever the number is in weekly business. What we have to understand sometimes, guys, is what it means to work. Let's kind of put this in perspective a little bit, okay? There's work and then there's work. When I was a young man, my dad he's a bricklayer and concrete finisher. He's retired now, has been for a number of years, but I would work with him when I got old enough, 12, 13 years old, when we had school holidays, summer breaks. And it didn't matter if it was 10 degrees or 10 below zero outside or 100 degrees. We were working unless it was raining. And even then sometimes we were still working. But when I graduated high school, I learned what it meant to really work, because then I went to work with my dad in the steel mills there in Gary, Indiana. And I could understand why my dad came home so exhausted. When I was working with him, I could barely walk in the door. I was so tired. I was so sore. When I was 18, 19 years old, he was in his 30s, 40s, 50s by this point. And then I began to realize, okay, this is what it means to work. This is work. Now, I don't want to minimize what we do as agents, because we do work. What we do requires effort, right? It may not always be physical, but it is mental, emotional effort to do what we do. But we have to remember what I'm doing, what you're doing, is sitting in a comfortable office in the air conditioning with a cup of coffee in our hand. I sit often with my little dog, Heidi. She's a little miniature dachshund, weighs about 8 pounds. I sit with her in my lap, and I'm working on the telephone and on the computer. I'm working, but I'm not finishing concrete. I'm not laying bricks or block or mixing mud or digging or building scaffolding. I'm not working in the extreme cold and the extreme heat. I have to remind myself of that. And once you get really good at this, what happens is a lot of what you're doing becomes muscle memory. It doesn't even require a lot of mental or emotional effort on your part, because you do it constantly. maybe it takes an hour to fill out an app when you first get started, and after you've done it for a year or two, it takes like 20 minutes. See, you get better and better and better at it, more and more efficient. So I keep that in mind. When I first started as an agent, I would set 15 appointments, I would sit with 10, and I would sell 5. I didn't know what I was doing. I had very little, if any, product knowledge. I couldn't sell. I might have been good with people at maybe, depending on the time of day or the day of week you catch me, but I could say I was good with people. But that's what I was trying to do every single week as a new agent. And I'd have to remind myself, I can make 100,000 a year. In fact, I can make 2, 3, 4, 500,000 or more a year. I can do it. But what's going to be the difference between those who win and those who lose? Literally, what it comes down to is work, right? Some will take it slightly more seriously than others. So I want to challenge you for this week. This week, take this week a little more seriously than last week. I believe you can do that because others have come before you and have done it. And I know you can do it too. I know you can earn 100,000 minimum next year in 2025. But let's kind of gear up, right? Let's spend the next several weeks of this year gearing up and getting ready for a big 2025. I know if you do that, you can make the income that you never thought was possible. All right, guys, enough talk. Let's get back to our work. Enjoy your afternoon. Have a great week. And we love to see you at the various hotspots that Stephen will be at throughout the week. Take care, everybody.